Hello again and welcome back. This week we discussed 1990s arachnophobia. In it, we see thousands of creepy crawlies invade, infest, and ingest a small California town. Specifically, we see a Venezuelan sun tiger wreak havoc with our beloved John Goodman saving the day as the exterminator. In Arachnophobia, the webs the Venezuelan sun tiger weaves are scary, and the carnage they create is indeed panic-inducing, but mostly a Hollywood creation. The sun tiger is native to Venezuela, North Guyana, northern Brazil, and Paracaima. This tarantula dwells in tropical rainforests with non-dry and warm environments. They inhabit tree cavities and hide within the holes of the bark, or coffins headed to the United States. Their diet consists of crickets, cockroaches, fruit flies, locusts, grasshoppers, small birds, small frogs and moths, and citizens of small California towns. Their lifespan is 12 to 15 years for females and 3 to 4 years for males. And due to their habitat's temperature reaching almost 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, the tarantula will protect itself from the harsh rays in trees, leaves, and any nearby shelter, up to including coffins headed to the United States. Unlike most tarantulas, the Venezuelan sun tiger is very fast and its venom is stronger than other tarantulas. Females typically produce 50 to 20 eggs per sac and can produce a double egg sac without the need for mating a second time. Yikes. No wonder the barn got infested so fast and the residents were ingested so quickly. The sun tiger, though, is just one breed of arachnids, most of which are non-venomous. In Arachnophobia, we see the Venezuelan sun tiger invade the West Coast. Beginning in 2013 in Georgia, the Joro spider arrived and has spread along the East Coast in the decades since. The Joro spider is completely harmless. It's non-venomous, completely harmless. The bright yellow, blue, black, and red spider's golden webs are seen all over power lines, in trees, and on front porches. And as disturbing as their large webs may be, again, completely harmless. And there's nothing we can do to stop them, but that's not necessarily bad news. Joros don't appear to have much of an effect on local food webs or ecosystems, says Andy Davis, research scientist at the Odum School of Ecology. They may even serve as an additional food source for native predators like birds. The way I see it, there's no point in excess cruelty where it is not needed. End quote. And we might not like spiders, but there's no need to destroy their habitat, especially when they provide more benefit to us than harm. You know those flies and mosquitoes you hate every summer? You probably got bit a few times. I know I did. Well, those are Joro's main diet. So the more Joros you see, the fewer mosquitoes will bite you. The Joro spider moved to the southeastern U.S. from the tropics around 160 years ago to the U.S. as stowaways on shipping containers, similar to the coffin-hitching sun tiger we saw in Arachnophobia. Now that they're here, the chance of Joros hitching a ride to a new locale on a car, in luggage, or perhaps a coffin are high. But again, Joros are completely harmless. The potential for Joro spiders to spread through human movement is very high. Right before the study was published, the writers got a report from a grad student at UGA who had accidentally transported a Joro to Oklahoma. Still, there is no need to panic. Joros don't bite unless cornered, and their fangs are often not large enough to pierce human skin. As of now, the Joro has not spread beyond the southeast due to its vulnerability to the cold, but climate change could, change that. For now, though, if you live in colder climates, the Joro spider is not a concern, but have fun shoveling all that snow in exchange. I'll take the warmth and non-venomous spider, thank you. Many people, myself included, have an aversion to spiders, and this is mostly due to our evolutionary fear of another arthropod, the scorpion. Scorpions do pose a genuine threat to humans, killing an estimated 2,600 people every year. And scorpions are an ancient group that have been rocking us like a hurricane with venom tailored to mammals native to Africa and the Middle East. So our distant ancestors and scorpions could have evolved side by side, which is interesting. However, full-blown arachnophobia is experienced by about 6% of the general population. A few comforting facts if you have arachnophobia or simply an aversion to spiders: only 0.5%, fewer than 1% of spiders are potentially dangerous, not even venomous, just potentially dangerous. And even fewer are venomous. Secondly, these species are mostly found in Australia and South America, like Venezuela, where the sun tiger comes from. So I guess keep yourself safe and don't accept coffins from these areas without thoroughly inspecting them first with protective gear on, of course. And stories in the media and movies like Arachnophobia often contain errors and use sensationalist vocabulary that could contribute to our fear of spiders. And arachnophobia is mostly caused by experiencing one or more traumatic encounters with a spider, but could be caused again by an evolutionary response. And spiders are arachnids, a class of arthropods that includes scorpions, mites, and ticks. There are more than 45,000 known species of spiders found in habitats all over the world. There's a spider with a cartoonish butt, spiders that can jump on demand, and cannibal spiders that look like pelicans. And I will admit, I will avoid that spider regardless. I don't care if it's non-venomous. I'm avoiding that one. The spiders range in size from the tiny Samoan moss spider, which is 0.11 inches long, to the massive Goliath bird eater, a tarantula with a leg span of almost 1 foot. And you can see how I am backing away from this, even though I am not in the same room with it. That is a very large spider. Though all spiders have venom to one degree or another, only a handful of spiders are dangerous to humans. And again, more than 45,000 different species of spiders are found in the world, and of these, again, only a small number are said to be dangerous. And fewer than 30 of that 45,000, and that equates to less than 0.1%, have been responsible for human deaths. Of those species, the most deadly are the black widow, the brown recluse spider, and the Brazilian wandering spider. In late 2013, a family in London had to vacate their home so it could be fumigated because it became infested with tiny Brazilian wandering spiders. An egg sac was deposited in a banana bunch and broke open in their home. So again, a hitchhiker similar to what we saw in Arachnophobia. And the black widow spider is responsible for more than 2,500 visits to poison control centers every year in the US. and I could not find any data on how many of those visits resulted in deaths. So I am going to assume that none of those visits resulted in deaths, but again, they visited local poison control center for treatment, which is good. The brown widow spider is thought to have evolved in Africa, and the first specimen observed came from South America. And I think we are sensing an evolutionary pattern that spiders typically emerge from one place and then evolve because of hitchhiking in one way or another to another area and further evolve. The species makes its home in buildings, inside old tires, under automobiles, and in shrubs and other vegetation. And brown widows are not aggressive and only inject a tiny amount of venom when it bites. Still, brown widow bites were associated with the deaths of 2 people in Madagascar in the early 1990s. The red widow spider is another species that feeds on insects, and it is not aggressive toward people. However, it has been known to bite when it is protecting its eggs or when it is trapped against another person's skin or clothes or footwear, like the doctor in Arachnophobia. Death from a red widow is rare since the spider injects only a small amount of venom. And finally, redback spiders, native to Australia, are not aggressive and are more likely to play dead when disturbed, but a female defending her eggs is very likely to bite. So I guess the lesson here is just don't disturb the eggs, don't disturb the mom, and you will be fine. Bites also occur when the spider climbs into shoes or clothing, as we saw with the sun tiger. More than 250 redback bites are treated every year in Australia, but the last human death attributed to the redback occurred in 1956. With all that being said, the next time you're in your garden, at the park, or enjoying nature, don't let a spider's presence scare you. And please don't stomp them unless you are 100% sure they are venomous or otherwise dangerous. More than likely, they will truly be more afraid of you than you are of them. Invasions like what we saw in Arachnophobia are what we like to call movie magic and very rare. If you see a spider in your home, coax them onto a napkin or other surface and place outside where they will surely return to their web rather than seek you out. If you are bitten, basic first aid will help. Wash the area with soap and water. Apply a cloth dampened with cold water or filled with ice to the bite area to reduce swelling. Elevate the bite area if possible. Seek medical care if the bite becomes enlarged, reddened, swollen, or otherwise sore, but more than likely the bite itself will disappear in 2 to 3 days with no medical help needed. The vast majority of spiders are harmless and actually serve a critical purpose, controlling insect populations that could otherwise devastate crops and again, control mosquito outbreaks. Without spiders to eat the harmful pests to agriculture, it's thought that our food supply would be at risk. Spiders, if you think about it, are just as important to our ecosystem as pollinators like bees and butterflies. And though not all spiders build webs, every species produces silk. They use the strong, flexible protein fiber for many different purposes. To climb, think Spider-Man, to tether themselves for safety in case of a fall, to create egg sacs, to wrap up prey, to make up nests, and kind of swing, or like we saw in Charlotte's Web, to communicate with other barn animals. The greatest threat to spiders is habitat loss. although some spiders are threatened by the pet trade. Now, it amazes me that anyone would want to keep a spider, especially a tarantula, as a pet, but people do, and this trade is lucrative and, of course, harmful to several spider species. A fire-leg tarantula was one of the more than $40,000 worth of spiders, insects, and other creepy crawlies stolen from the Philadelphia Insectarium and Butterfly Pavilion in August in a suspected attempt to sell them into the pet trade. Earlier that month, a man in Singapore was fined $12,800 for illegally keeping 92 tarantulas in his home and trying to smuggle 6 more into Singapore from Malaysia. Those aren't isolated incidents. Scientists report a significant amount of illegal activity involving tarantulas, believed to be largely fueled by hobbyists willing to pay hundreds of dollars apiece for pet spiders. Well, there you have it. Spiders might not be pleasant to be around, but most will not harm you and will certainly help you in terms of pest control and food production. Don't panic if you see a spider, and please don't hurt them. So go ahead and we will web around the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. New episodes of the Real Relationships podcast drop every Thursday, and we appreciate our listeners, viewers, and subscribers. Thank you, and we will see you soon.